My topic for my final project is the baptistry pulpit in Pisa. Nicola Pacino's baptistry pulpit in Pisa. So I will be discussing his background and history, the style and the time period of the baptistry pulpit, the themes of the baptistry, and the elements and the panels on the pulpit itself. So Nicola Pacino was born in Apulia in 1220 and known as the son of Petrus de Apulia, and in 1245 he moved to Tuscany to work on the Prato Castle. In 1245 to 1250 he moved to Pisa, where his son Giovanni was eventually born. And in 1255 he received his first commission for the baptistry pulpit, and he finished it around 1260 and signed it as Nicola Pausanias. In 1264 through 1278 he created other major works for more cathedrals, such as the Shrine of St. Dominic in 1264, the pulpit for Siena Cathedral in 1265. He made the altar on San Jacopo in the Cathedral of San Zeno in 1273, and in 1277 to 1278 was his last major commission, and that was the Great Fountain at Perugia, which will be later demolished soon after he made it. And in 1284 is when he died, unfortunately, in Pisa, Italy. The style and time period, the two major styles that he uses in majority of his work are French Gothic and classical style of Rome. And for the French Gothic, he shows columns. He has individual faces and figures on his works. He uses more relaxed forms. He uses full flowing clothing and natural poses. And his baptistry pulpits are used to decorate cathedrals and other religious buildings. And he uses medieval design elements such as the trefoil arches as seen on the baptistry pulpit in Pisa. The classical style of Rome, he uses more realism and Greek art and true physical features, and he also uses mythological themes / heroes as seen on the baptistry pulpit, and he uses more idealized portrayal of subjects, and he also uses balance and perspective. And the time period of the baptistry pulpit was 1245, 1250 is when he moved to Pisa, and he had his son Giovanni. In 1255, he received the commission for the pulpit, and in 1260 is when he finished it. The common themes of the baptistry pulpit are classicism, Romanesque, Gothic, life and death of Christ, Christian ideals and virtues, Greek and Roman mythological beliefs, and naturalistic, which I will further discuss throughout the slides that have the panel descriptions on them. The priest would stand up where the panels are and set his book on the stand that the eagle is offering. Up here I have the eagle in a red circle. That shows that's where he would set the book that he is preaching from. And the priest is this little blue guy up here. That's where he would stand in the opening where the panels are. And the eagle symbolizes St. John the Evangelist. The pulpit is supported by one column in the center, with a base of grotesque figures and some animals that are supposed to represent pagan elements subdued by Christianity. Shown here, this is the center column that's holding up the middle of the piece. And then there are 6 columns supporting the outer part of the pulpit, 3 of them having a base set on the back of a lion hovering over some prey, which is supposed to be a Romanesque motif symbol of triumphant Christianity. Here I circled one of the lions, and the other one's here and back here, I believe. And the other ones are just bare, they don't have lions, but that's where the 6 outer columns are. The figure of fortitude. This is right below 2 of the panels, but above the columns. The nude figure is just below the panels on one of the columns, represents fortitude, one of the virtues meaning strength. It's not very Romanesque looking nor Gothic looking. It is extremely influenced by classical antiquity, born both in terms of how it looks and what it means. There is a lion skin wrapped around his left arm and a lion cub that he is holding on his right shoulder. and that helps identify the muscular figure as Hercules, one of the common themes of mythological heroes from the classical Roman. And the 6 panels that are on top of the pulpit are the Annunciation, Nativity and the Annunciation to the Shepherds, the Adoration of the Magi, the Presentation in the Temple, the Crucifixion, and the Last Judgment. And each panel is a relief that is set in a frame of red marble, and they are separated from one another by groups of colonnettes, I believe to be 3 colonnettes. The first panel I'll be talking about is the Nativity and Adoration of the Magi. Right here I have the Nativity. The image of Mary is based on a form of an Etruscan tomb sculpture. Pisano depicts Christ child as a chubby baby and not in an iconic way. The horses are also depicted naturally, which goes back to the theme of naturalism. And down here I have the Adoration of the Magi. Shows the 3 kings coming to visit the newborn baby Christ and the Virgin Mary, who is sitting in a chair. The next one is the Presentation in the Temple, as I have shown here. Mary and Joseph are taking the Christ child to the temple for his circumcision according to the laws of Moses. Joseph is carrying a pair of doves. Mary and Simon with the Christ child in his arms. To the right of Simon is Anna, and Anna is a prophetess, and she holds a scroll in her hand. And to the man to the right of her is an uncertain identity. He could be another representation of Simon or an allusion to Mary's purification later on. And this is another panel, the Crucifixion. This has more classically inspired figures with an iconographic scene. Christ is nailed to a cross instead of posts made of tree limbs, which is kind of alluding to the idea of like the tree of life. There are 3 nails that go through Jesus's body rather than 4, and the 3 nails represent the Trinity. You can also see the figure of Mary falling into another woman's arms in grief because of what is happening to her child. And the last one is the Last Judgment, as seen right here. And yeah, I believe that to be 3 colonnettes. You see Christ with good souls on one side and the bad souls on the other side, and the sides are very disproportionate because of the good seems to benefit more. And this thematic alteration is because of the mercy that Christ extends to mankind. This is repeated by the placement of Mary on the right hand of Christ. Hell is also included in the scene, kind of evening out the disparity because of the large area given to the good. As you can see, Jesus is right here, or Christ, whichever you prefer to call him, and he's not in the middle, he's kind of off center, and this side is for the good and this is for the bad. As you can see, the bad is a lot more smaller than the good side. So yeah, that's the end.